Test. Test. Hello. Hello. It's good to hear you again, boys. I love the sound of you. Fucking do this. What the fuck is up, my little cats and kittens, and welcome to another episode of the Sharra podcast. I am your host, Sharra Coley, and I'm going to be doing what I do best, which is oversharing about whatever the fuck I want to, because here on my podcast, the Sharra podcast, I believe, and we believe, that oversharing is caring. So let's get into it. Holy shit, I'm dying over here from this hit, and I don't care, because I'll do it for the rest of my life. I'll be smoking on my fucking deathbed. All right, today we're going to be talking a lot about the concept of becoming a go-getter, all right? That's something that I've heard a lot in my life directed towards me of like, oh, I'm such a go-getter. Sharra, you're such a go-getter. How do you have the confidence to go after the things that you want? How do you have the confidence to do these things? These are questions that people have asked me in my life and here recently of how do you get up the guts or how do you go after the thing that you want to go after? And I know that this sounds so fucking cliche because it is, but it truly is fake it till you make it. Like, that is the number one thing that I can tell you, whether it is in show business, whether it is in your job, like literally everything that I've done in my life, I've just fucking like thrown some spaghetti at the wall. Now, don't get me wrong. I've also worked very, very hard. There are certain things that I've gone after in my life that I did dedicate a lot of time. And, I think a big piece of that is understanding your why. Why is this one something you want to go after? Because if you can't identify the why, it's really easy to get lost and pulled away from the reason that you started after it in the first place, especially when times get hard. So that's always my first piece of advice, is that if there's something that you want to go after, sit down and like really think about what's the why and like what those things are going to be that like you might have to sacrifice sometimes. Because if there's truly something that you want, there is going to be some sacrifice. It's going to be vulnerable. It's going to be scary. There's probably going to be times that you feel really uncomfortable, but that's good. And if you can just like connect yourself to the why, you're less likely to give up when the road gets tough. We hear these things all the time, or we read these things on the internet of like, dress for the job you want, fake it till you make it, all of these things. And quite literally, that is the mindset that you have to adopt. It's like, if you want something to happen, you have to be able to visualize what that could be, even if you can't completely visualize the outcome. However, speaking of outcomes, that is also like the biggest piece of it, is that you cannot get attached to the outcome, because sometimes it's not going to work out. I would say that a lot of times it's not going to work out exactly how you envision it. It's going to work out sometimes, maybe not at all, or sometimes even better. And so I think that that limits us a good deal whenever we set goals or we start going after things, is that we get so attached to what the outcome needs to be that it almost paralyzes us sometimes from ever even like truly going after it. Or, it puts us in a place of feeling like super disappointed and like super down when things aren't going the way that we want them to. So I think that that's like my biggest piece of advice, is you really do have to detach yourself from the outcome. This is the same thing to be true in dating, right? If you were to go into every single date with the intention of the outcome being that this is going to become a partner of yours, you're going to be disappointed every single time. Like, even if you meet somebody who has the potential to be a good partner like that, you can't be tied to the fact that like, oh, well, like the outcome has to be marriage in this like fantasy life, because that person may die, and like you're going to miss out on all of the other special things that come along in the process of the journey, right? Whether it's the relationship journey or a career journey or a passion journey, like there's so much to absorb and appreciate on the day to day. And you have to be, I had a dance professor whenever I was in college, shout out Ping. And he had a saying that has stuck with me for my life. And I think of it and I share it all the time. So I'm going to share it with you. Share a saying with me. I'm going to share it with you, people. Okay. And his saying was, be like bamboo, because bamboo is known to be very strong, very sturdy, but it's also it goes with the wind, like it bends a little bit with the wind. So it's a little bit malleable is not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Like flexible, I guess is the word. Like it has some flex to it, and that's what makes it so durable, because things that tend to be very rigid are the things that tend to break, right? Like I learned that a lot in my life. I used to be very, very attached, and sometimes I still get this way, and I have to like unclench my jaw and like let things relax. But I get really attached to like the way things should go. Or like I used to be like this in work, of like I got really attached to my schedule, and I just would like any last minute changes would just like completely like upend me emotionally inside, and like I was just not a flexible person. And that's something that I've had to learn to do, because being inflexible is always going to lead to you being frustrated, and it's going to just lead to a lot of disappointment, to be quite frank. So yeah, be like bamboo, be strong and be firm, but be flexible. Okay, so you have to be strong and firm in your convictions for your goal, in the reason why for your goal, or whatever it is that you're going after, whatever that is, dating, anything, it can apply to anything. Be like bamboo, strong, firm, but flexible. You have to allow for life to life, because life is always going to life. And if you don't allow for room for error or room for failure, then you're just going to end up quitting everything, or never achieve what you want, or like never really reap the true benefit and the happiness and the joy and the lessons that can come from failure. Like I can just think about so many times in my life where things have failed, or like I've done something wrong, and it's ended up being like a really shaping moment of my life, or it turned out to be like a blessing in disguise, or like better than I could have imagined. But in the eyes of like how I thought it should go, it would have been considered a quote unquote failure. So yeah, just detaching yourself from the outcome as a whole, I think is a big piece of going after something. Like I have to tell myself this with social media. Putting yourself out there on social media, or just putting yourself out there in general, is scary. I have something coming up that I'm going to share with you in a second that is also very scary for me. But like something that I keep telling myself is that like it's for the reps, right? Like it's a learning process. As long as it feels like I'm being true to myself and it's not like performative, then like I can't be attached to whether or not it gets a lot of likes, or people, what people are going to think, or anything like that. Because if that is what I'm filtering through every single time, like I'm always going to feel anxious about that. Like, and that's not all the time what it is. Like everything that you do can't be for like to win, or like you just have to be able to be willing to get reps for reps, and understand that like sometimes you're going to fall on your face, and sometimes it's not going to go well, and that's okay. But you're committed to the why, and you're committed to keep going. Like this is a long game for me. I can't be attached to the short term results if the long-term goal is what I'm working towards. Like I know that it's going to take time, it's going to take consistency, it's going to take little deposits every day. And some days I'm going to be like, can't think of anything, or some days I'm going to be like, yeah, no views, and I just can't be attached to that. So like there's my long-winded answer of not being attached to the outcome, and also just not being afraid to fail. You have to be willing to just get reps to get reps. Same thing applies. Like this goes with anything in jobs, like interviews, dating, like anything like that. You have to be willing to just get reps. You have to be willing to, like, if there's a position that you want and you really want to go after it, you have to be willing to get told no and be like, okay, what do I need to do to work towards getting yes? I will say that if I notice that is not the attitude of somebody, like I've been in the seat of hiring people, like I've been managing businesses for the last, 12 years of my life. So I've definitely had a lot of conversations where I've had to tell people no, that I'm not giving them to position, and I'm having to give it to somebody else. And like seeing somebody's response and their reaction in the face of that tells me a lot about that person. And a question that I ask a lot whenever I'm interviewing people, when I used to interview people, because it would be a lot of employees who already work together interviewing like against one another for the same role, right? So like it was going to definitely be like one of you is going to get it and one of you is not, or one of you and four of you are not, so like how are you going to show up? So a question that I would always ask in an interview is like, so what happens if you don't get the role? What does that change for you? Like, I can't remember exactly how I'd word it right now, but I used to have it like down. But yeah, just asking them about like, what does that do for you? How do you show up to work? Because let's be honest too, like we're human, right? Like some level of disappointment is always allowed and expected to some degree, but like also how are you going to still continue to show up in the face of disappointment and in the face of like, you didn't get chosen, you got told no. Does that defeat you and you lose like the desire for the goal entirely? Or does it motivate you to understand what kept you from getting it and how you can improve yourself for the next opportunity that comes around? And I think that that's also something you can evaluate of like, if you were to be told no for this thing, what does it look like moving forward? Are you just like, okay? Or are you like, okay, what can I do to make it a yes? And if that's not the attitude that you have, I genuinely don't believe that you want it enough. So that's first and foremost. Again, like going back to the why do you want this? Is it something you want, or is it something that you think other people want for you? Like, because if it's external validation, it's never going to like really be deep inside for you to be motivated towards. So yeah, if you were to be told no, or like you were to fail at first of whatever you're trying, what does that look like for you? So figure that out. What are you going to do in the face of adversity? Like my journey with Lululemon, I quite genuinely kind of faked it, and I faked it until I could make it. And that's another thing. It's like preparing yourself. I think not enough people, especially in the job market, man, you like being in hiring, especially in corporate hiring, if this is what you say on an interview question, like if you're listening to this and you respond with this when somebody asks you this question, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that that's the reason you didn't get the job. If somebody asks you, so why now? Why do you think that this role is for you? Why do you feel like you are uniquely qualified? What do you uniquely bring to this? And somebody answers like, yeah, I just feel like it's time, like it's just time. It's, I've been here for this, or like, what do you mean it's time? We're asking for like measurable data. We're asking for like things that you've accomplished. Like, okay, if this is going to be like very jobby, but this can like go into anything. Okay. You need to think of the star role method. Okay. You need to think about the situation, the task, the action, the result, and the learning. Those are the ones. Situation. What was happening? What were you trying to achieve? The task. What were the actions that you took? What was the result of those actions? And what did you learn? Okay. You need to be able to answer those 5 things for any answer that you're going to give. Okay. So it doesn't have to always be tied to data, but it needs to have those 5 things in mind: situation, task, action, result, learning. Okay. You're welcome. So anyhow, be prepared. What is this thing that you're going at? Have you done any research? If not, do some research. I think a lot of people are just like, I want to do this thing. And they're just like, and I'm going to do it. And I'm like, cool. So what's step 1? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, so there you go. That's a very bold thing of you to say that you're going to accomplish it. And some delusion is necessary. I think there's a difference between, being a little delusional and then just being completely unprepared. And they're not related in a lot of ways. Like delusional is like, I don't know how or when, but I know that because I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I'm taking steps, I'm taking real action, not like the universe cloud is just going to open up and drop this opportunity into my lap because I'm speaking it into the universe. Like these things are attached to action. Okay. You actually have to do things about them. Anyhow, so delusion is different. It's like, I'm willing to show up to the plate and the plate will show up to me. Like I'm willing to give out and it's going to give back at some point. Don't know how, don't know when, but I'm confident because I'm fucking delusional about that. But I'm also prepared. I'm also doing my research. I'm also showing up consistently. It's not just words, it's followed with action. So like when people are like, oh, you're such a go-getter, I'm an action taker. That's what you're really saying. The difference between you and me, or a go-getter and a not go-getter, is taking action. And it doesn't have to be grand action. It can be small, little bits at a time. And then continuing to learn. Continuing education is so important. And like that goes back to even just like my time with Lululemon. Like I did not know how to run a fucking business when I first started there. Like I had never run a business before, but I just paid attention and I was like, okay, I could do that. Like I'm really good with people. And honestly, running business is a lot of running people. Like it's so people centric. And if you can make your people happy, then you can probably make your business happy. That is like the center of it all. So, but when I would get to interviews, that was like my mentality though, of like, what can I absorb from this to do better? I got told no so many times, but then at some point, somebody believed that I was qualified enough to go run a $3 million store. And then I grew that into a $5 million, into a $7 million. And then I got to run a $13 million store. So, like, it's just you acquire, like what I've learned too about being in anything, any job, anything, like nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing. Like being an adult Nobody knows what the fuck we're doing. I remember being a kid and like looking at adults and not now being older. I'm like, this can't possibly be the caliber of adult that I was looking at when I was a kid. But like, your perception of reality, I think, is so different. And like, you just place such a responsibility on adults when like now being an adult and being 37, I'm like, I still feel like a child. That's why, like, I'm telling you, like, it's not like a me coming down on people who have kids. It's that my brain literally cannot comprehend how someone my age or younger has the capacity to deal with a child. Like, I don't understand it. Can't, like, I'm still I'm figuring it out and I have it together for the most part, but like there's a lot of times where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What am I doing? What is a 401k? I mean, I have one. Do I understand it? Not really. Anyhow, yeah, I just realized that nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing. No one. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. And if they do, they're fucking lying about it. Because guess what? Every day that you're alive is the first day that you've experienced that day. So like, you never know. You're experiencing things for the first time every single day by being alive that day. So yeah, we're all a little bit of infants just walking around. That's another thing that you have to understand is that this picture of life and reality that society painted for us as we were growing up, or at least the way that it was painted for me when I was growing up, is like, you grow up and life becomes this easier thing because you get a job and you do these things. And I'm like, where's the American dream you're talking about? Because I don't see it. Somebody sold us a lie. This is bullshit, right? Yeah, fuck the timelines. Fuck all the societal norms. Like, you got to get that shit out of your head. It's going to limit you in a lot of things that you want or will go after because you think that you don't have time. I've talked about that on a previous episode. Like, this idea of, like, you're supposed to accomplish these things or it's too late to do things, like, that keeps you caged in. So if you're wanting to branch out of that and, you know, maybe it's you want to go learn how to salsa dance. Why can't you go learn how to salsa? Oh, I'm 38. Okay, and... get off your ass and go move. Like, you have time. It's just you're letting other people tell you that you don't, and you're letting your mind in that state of inaction tell you that you don't. So yeah, that's how you become a go-getter, people. You gotta start doing some action here. You can't just be about the words. You gotta do something about it. So speaking of do something about it, going to share with you something that I am doing right now. So I have been talking about how over the past year, you know, I got into creating on social media, you know, trying to create a platform for myself there in some capacity. I started this podcast. So, you know, just trying to put myself out there, get comfortable in front of a camera, get comfortable just with all of it in a different way in the creative light, because I want to be back in the creative world. I haven't really like nailed down exactly what I envision for myself, but I am leaning towards acting. Like I think acting, I want to get back into it. It was something that I did whenever I was younger and I really enjoyed it, but I think I grew to be a bit insecure because I was so invested in dance that's where all of my confidence lied. And so when it came to acting and singing, I just didn't feel as confident. So I didn't feel as good to like continue to do it and to put myself out there, especially when you're, you know, going through your teenage years and then like in your 20s, it's like you feel embarrassed. It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's a lot riskier internally than it is when you're a kid, when you're just like, I don't care. Anyhow, so I had, you know, just kind of stopped with the acting and the dance and the singing and just focused on dance. So I want to get back into it. I always enjoyed it. I was good at it when I was younger, and again, I have no idea where it's going to go, but I did enjoy all kinds of acting, you know, theater acting, screen acting, all of that. So what I have been doing, the action that I have been taking to progress in that and to start getting some reps and get comfortable is I joined a improv 101, an improv acting, like a comedy improv acting class. It has been it's been like a 2-hour class every week for the past month, and we have a little mini show tomorrow. So by the time that this comes out, it will be the day of my show. By the time you listen to this, I may have already performed. So I'm super fucking nervous, but I'm also excited. I went to one of the shows, like they had like a comedy jam thing, like an improv comedy jam thing over the weekend at the place that I've been taking the class, and so I got to watch. I was on the cusp of potentially participating, but I chose to just watch because I wanted to like build up my confidence of feeling like, okay, like I can definitely do this. I can hang with people who have been doing this longer than me. So I went to that, and it gave me some confidence of like, I feel like even when I'm feeling the most nervous, I'm going to be just fine. And I've really enjoyed the class. I've enjoyed meeting the people. I've enjoyed being back in that space of just being around people who, the creative minds, and people who aren't afraid to get up on a stage and be like, okay, I might make a complete ass of myself, but we're all going to laugh about it and we all have each other's backs. And at the end of the day, like nobody can really fail. But I'm nervous because I do know some people are going to show up and watch it. And I'm just like, I have no idea. It's improv, like you have no idea. But the reason I wanted to do this is because what I know about dance is that one of the most valuable skills you can learn in dance is to be good at improv, to be able to, no matter what song that they turn on, to be able to do something to it to showcase who you are as a performer, maybe some of like your best tricks. Because again, like if you're doing improv, you don't have a whole lot of time to showcase who you are. Or on the other side of that, like what happens if you're doing a dance? Like there's definitely been times for me where I've been on stage doing a solo and I'm like, I can't fucking remember what the next move is. That's a recurring dream I have actually a lot of. I forget the choreography and I just have to like figure it out on stage or like go off of what my peers are doing and just like try to remember it. It's kind of traumatizing that happens. I've definitely forgot my dance on stage before, and only one time in my life did I actually freeze and like didn't keep going. There were other times that I forgot and I would just keep going, and that's a skill that you have to learn, of being like, okay, I know that I can just make it up and figure it out until I can find my place back on the music and find my way back to where I know I am. And the same thing goes with acting, with anything really, of how can I make it look like I didn't just fuck up and I can save the scene or I can save whatever it is. And so I just thought, if it's so valuable in dance, I would imagine that it's just as, if not more valuable in acting. So, and being comfortable in those situations to recover a scene and to teamwork with somebody else. Like that's another thing that we would always do in dance, especially with modern and everything. We would, and even in contemporary, we would do a lot of collaborative improv and things like that. So, and you still see that in classes. So just improv has always been such a foundational piece of dance. And so I wanted to get into the improv world and just see what it was all about. So that's what I have been doing for the past month. That's the action that I've been taking. So I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm, again, looking forward to moving forward with that. I'm definitely going to keep and continue going on with it into the 201 classes and some other stuff. My next thing that I'm going to get involved in, I've gotten some recommendations again, and this is all about networking too, of meeting people in this industry and places I can go to immerse myself and get better at this and get reps and start getting on film and getting an agent and getting back in the audition world. Like all this takes time, right? Like I haven't built an entertainment resume in forever. So like getting that back, getting my headshots, like these are all actions that I have to take before I can actually go after the goal of like, okay, my first goal is to like get an audition. So I have to do all of these things first, of get comfortable. Okay. So my next thing that I'm going to start doing, there's a studio here that does like some screen acting classes, and also they do some like video recording stuff. So where I can like go read scenes and like read monologues, and they'll record it and help me edit it and things like that. So those are the things that are coming up for me. So yeah, so I'm getting back into acting, and I'm also getting back into voice lessons. I don't know if you know this about me, but if you didn't, you do now. I sang. I was on Broadway as a kid, so I do have a good voice. I just don't use it a whole lot, and so I sing a lot to myself, and I want to just feel more confident again about it, because I think that having all three skills, dancing, acting, and singing, is a triple threat. That's what it's called. So I've always had the talent to do all three, and so why not? Then I could get back into like, if I want to audition for a musical or something, like it just opens up the world of things. And so I'm just super excited to like be back in that world of just, even if it's small scale, like it just brings me a lot of joy. It's been really fun to be committed to something like that weekly, of like having that group. And yeah, those are the secrets that I've been keeping for what I'm doing right now, but wanted to share that with you because it goes along with what I've been saying of like, I can't be a go-getter and go get this dream that I've had living inside of me for so long. Like I've genuinely always felt like the normal life for me is not for me. Like I think that's why I've always struggled to feel like completely at home somewhere. It's because I've never really known, like there's some times where I just feel like it doesn't feel big enough for me, and I don't know how to explain that feeling. And so I'm just, maybe I'm just throwing spaghetti at walls. And here's the thing, it could go in a completely different direction. I have no fucking clue. But what I do know is that I am at a place in my life where I am excited and I'm eager and I'm willing to put in the effort and to put in the additional stuff to actually start making strides towards making this happen. And this past year has been part of that, with putting it myself out there. So that is what I am doing. That is what I'm going to get. So I would love to know if there's anything that you're going after. So slide into my DMs, leave me a comment, whatever you want. I would love to know if there's anything that I can cheer you on from afar, from the internet, from the interwebs, where we can stay connected. I would love to cheer you on, and to understand what you're passionate about. So yeah, if there's anything that you're feeling maybe not confident about, I'm here to be your little cheerleader. So let me know, folks. Slide on in. I want to hear about them. Okay, we're going to move on into a little listener questions, because I got a couple of questions after the last episode that I love talking about and that I've actually had conversations in real life about recently. And the first question is about open relationships. What are my thoughts on open relationships? Do you think that it's possible to actually have a successful open relationship? I have such conflicting thoughts on this topic, because I think the first question I have to ask is, are you wanting or asking about an open relationship because it's something that you both want and would be healthy for your relationship, or would it really be more of just a green card to cheat? Like, is this something that if both parties are in agreement of like, yes, I actually love being with you and our connection is indescribable. I know that I don't want to do life without you. That is not the problem. Because I do believe that there are some relationships where it's like, look, the reality is there's not a single person on this planet that is going to fill every single cup for you and check every single box. No person should ever and will never be that person. That's why I fucking roll my eyes at people who make posts or just say stupid shit like, they're my everything. Because I just want to be like, well, they shouldn't be. That's a lot of pressure to put on one person to be your everything. What are they supposed to be? Your parent, your therapist, your best friend, your confidant, your mentor, like your wild night out, like your best sex ever, your sensual, like what? That is impossible for a person to wear all of those hats. And quite frankly, that is a really, really naive expectation. And that is a sign that your relationship is probably not going to last, because something that is an issue in a lot of relationships is that, or that I see from the outside, is that people get in relationships and they stop investing in the other cups and the other relationships that they need to fill for them. And they start placing a lot of that on their partners, where it's like, okay, you need to still have your girlfriends who you go out with without your partner consistently. Like, you need your separate life. You need your separateness. I've talked about this book before. It is such a good book to read if you are in a long-term relationship, want long-term partnership. It is called Mating in Captivity. And then she has a follow-up book called The State of Affairs that talks about basically like the repercussions if you don't have the right conversations and things ahead of time. But Esther Perel talks a lot about the need for separateness and how separateness and individualism actually keeps the relationship alive. So if you're making this one person your everything, I mean, yeah, who wouldn't want to escape from that? That's a fucking lot. Like, you need to keep nourishing these other relationships. You have your party, like you have your party friends. You have your friend that you call whenever things aren't going well. You have these other relationships, these other outlets that's not just your partner. And so they should not be your everything, first and foremost. But yeah, I think an open relationship can be a good idea for the type of relationship where it's like, we know that we love each other and we are so equally yoked in all of these other areas. But for some reason, our sex life is just, it's not where our strong suit is. Like, we have all of this other, like, we know we don't want to be apart, but like the sex is to be designed. Like, I think that that is where you could invite that in. And it doesn't mean that you're necessarily having sex separately. You could maybe do that together. But again, you also have to establish really, really, really clear boundaries. Like, if you don't already have good communication in your relationship, an open relationship is never going to work, ever. Point blank. The strongest thing in your relationship has to be communication and trust. And if those things aren't fucking anchored in like a fucking brick cement block in the ground, like, absolutely an open relationship is not even on the table. The first place you should go is couples therapy. And then maybe if you can work on those two things together, that could possibly be an option. But yeah, those are my biggest opinions on open relationships is, what's your reason for an open relationship? Is it because you just want to be able to cheat openly and you're hoping that your partner will just be on board with it? Or is it genuinely because you're like, everything about this person is awesome, it's just, or maybe you're both on board with like, yeah, we've been together for a long time and I'm confident and comfortable enough in our relationship to open it up sexually. Again, boundaries and communication are so important, because you also have to establish what kind of open relationship. Is it purely physical only? Are you both going to be involved? Do you have separateness? You go on dates? Like, there are so many types of open relationships. So that's really I am not going to answer this like as a blanket yes or no answer, because I think in some cases they can work. In some cases it's a fucking disaster. I would say that in a lot of cases, in where I see in relationships, the conversation coming up, it's typically the first thing that I've talked about, where it's like they don't have the guts to leave their partner, but so they want to like propose this other idea, or they don't have, it's not even like the guts to leave them. It's like they have this avoidance of wanting to be alone and the potential for that. So they're just like, well, maybe we can have sex with other people and like put some rules around it and call it an open relationship. And then the other person ends up getting hurt, because then emotions are involved, because the other reason the person was really wanting an open relationship wasn't just for sex. Maybe they're lacking in emotional intimacy with that person. So yeah, I think establishing the reason why, and that is first, and then establishing, evaluating your communication and your trust within the relationship, and then from there establishing very clear boundaries and clear communication expectations, and understanding that those things can and will shift. You're going to change your mind about how you feel in certain seasons. Your partner may go through a loss of a parent or something and be in an emotionally really vulnerable state and be like, I am not in a space mentally where I can be open to and tolerate a third person, or you dating or anything like that. And you, as the partner to that person, have to be okay with those boundaries shifting, and vice versa. It has to ebb and flow, and you have to be able to talk about that. So that's my perspective on open relationships and whether or not they can or cannot work. Now, I think that another thing too, on talking about open relationships, or even when we're talking about like threesomes or the things that you might be open to, is, are you going to be okay with the fantasy not being enjoyable in real life? Because I think a lot of times we can create in our heads what we think that something is going to be amazing, right? Like, we all have these thoughts like, okay, I'm going to talk from like a man's point of view. I think that one of the number one things a man would say that he fantasizes about doing, and then if they actually do it, it doesn't turn out the same, is the cum shot on the face, right? Like, any man who watches porn is like, oh yeah, I just want to come on her face. And I would guarantee that 9 times, if not 10 times out of 10, it doesn't go as you expect it, because it's not porn. It's real life, and real life doesn't mimic porn, just like real life doesn't mimic the movies. Real life doesn't mimic the fantasy that you create in your head. It's not going to play out the exact way that you've imagined it when you're masturbating. So I'm going to use myself as an example. One of my top fantasies is a cuck fantasy. Like, in my head, I think that I would enjoy being a cuck. I think that I would enjoy both sides of the cuck, watching and receiving. Okay, I fantasize about it all the time. I know that I would not do that with anyone random. It would have to be with somebody that like I love, that I feel comfortable with, that again, there's communication, there's trust, etc., that there would be open to it. So, but I've never experienced it in real life. So I could get to that real life experience, and I have to be okay, and my partner also has to be okay with I could show up to the experience and completely freak out and be like, I'm actually not okay with this and I don't want to go through with it, and I need to feel safe for them to be like, yeah, versus like pushing it or anything. So like that's another piece of it, because I think sometimes in people's heads they have this idea of like what an open relationship is or could be and da da da, and like you don't know, you could actually be the one with the idea and show up to it, and then it really bother you knowing that your partner is having conversation with another person. Like you can't possibly know how you're going to respond to a situation that you've imagined in your head until you actually experience it. So that's another piece of advice, even when it doesn't have to do with open relationship, but it just has to do with like entertaining your partner's fantasies, entertaining your own fantasies. Because again, like, do I want to potentially have that experience in my life? Yeah, I do, because I want to know if I would enjoy it. Why would I not want to find that out one day with somebody I love and trust, and maybe we can experience that? But I also have to not be attached to the outcome, and I have to feel safe to be like, I'm not okay with this. Or on the other hand, I have to feel safe to be like, giddy up. Or on the other hand, I have to be safe with my partner being like, actually, I'm not into this. Well, I want to stop. So I think that that's like a big piece that people never consider, is that it's okay for you to change your mind. It's okay for the rules to change in the moment. It really is. You get to decide how you feel in it. I think there's just a level of safety that you have to have. So if you don't feel safe, you don't feel like you have that safety to openly communicate and have that trust and that vulnerability with your partner, then absolutely not. An open relationship is not even on the motherfucking table. We are in the thick of Mardi Gras down here, y'all, and I am excited about it. How different it is now. I literally received a text from my boss, who's also like a friend of mine, who was just like, hey, I just wanted to say that like over the next 2 weeks, like I want you to enjoy we're two people who really enjoy Mardi Gras, so like I want you to be able to enjoy Mardi Gras, and just let you know that like other than just like focusing on like the leads that come in and like prioritizing those, I don't really expect there to be like a whole lot of high production going out in the next 2 weeks. Like I want you to be able to take the time to enjoy the season and like not feel stressed, to where I was this time last year, where I was like literally just like so fucking stressed. I was in a flare up again, like not really participating in Mardi Gras as much because I wasn't feeling great. I did end up going out for Mardi Gras Day, but just like, yeah, just like what a different feeling. So I'm super excited. I had one of my best friends come in town to visit me 2 weeks ago, and we went out for Chewbacca's, and it was just really such a fun weekend. We ate and we drank and we just got to hang out and have a good time, and it's just been great. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm in the midst of finishing up. I'm like, I have so much work to do on my costumes, so follow me on social media for that, because it's officially costume season. I've got my Mardi Gras Day costume to finish up, and then I've got one costume for Spaceball to do. I'm going to be a ribbon dancer for the Astro Olympics, so stay tuned for that. You'll get to see me post in for that. But yeah, the next 2 weeks are going to be super, super fun. We're officially less than 2 weeks out from Mardi Gras Day. Yesterday marked 2 weeks out for Mardi Gras Day, so here we are. We're about to be in deep gras, y'all. So if you are in New Orleans, happy Mardi Gras, y'all. If you're not in New Orleans, well, it's just another day for you. Sucks for you, sucker. That's just like why also it makes it so hard to leave this kind of city, because it's just such a vibrant place. But man, do I fucking hate this place sometimes, because I walked out to my car the other day and I had a fucking boot on my car. And when I first scanned the sticker, it told me that my fine was for $941. And I was like, what the fuck? So I went and I looked at what all the fines were for, and it was like all these $75 tickets for school zone speeding tickets. Well, they made those not legal here in August of 2025. Like they're still not allowed to turn those on because they're not up to code. Blah, blah, blah. Like I was literally getting a $75 ticket for going like 22 into 20. Like the fuck? Anyhow, so I called and basically was like, I don't understand why you would expect me to pay these when they're not even legal, da da da. But I was just like, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with this. My friend was in town at the time. We were going out for happy hour margaritas, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to compartmentalize this down for the evening, go enjoy my friend, and deal with this tomorrow and see what I can do. So that's exactly what I did. So got up the next morning, went and worked out to try and get my endorphins rolling and to get on the better side of the day to start, knowing that I was about to go drop $1,000. I'm not shitting you. I quite literally had the thought of, is my car even worth it? If you've seen my car, you know what I'm talking about. Nola has quite literally claimed it. I don't even have a rear view mirror. It's pretty bad. I don't care. I'm not putting any money into this thing. It can fucking, the wheels can fall off, and that's when I will get a new car. Yeah, I was like, is it even worth me spending $941? But I was just like, all right, I guess I'm going to, and whatever. So I show up, I scan the sticker, am fully prepared to pay this. No one had called me, no one had told me, but thank God that I waited and that I called, and fuck this city for who would have just gotten over on somebody had they just paid it in the moment. I scanned this sticker the next day. My fine was reduced to $331. They took off every single one of those camera light tickets for the school zone. They left one red light ticket and then the booting fee on there. So I ended up having to pay $331. And I was like, so grateful, but also so pissed simultaneously. So that's also a word of advice. If you are getting a boot on your car here in New Orleans, because I saw an article actually after my boot happened about how they're ramping up the patrolling and the enforcement around the city. Well, they're fucking scamming you. So make sure that you advocate for yourself and you fucking call. And if you have any camera tickets from a school zone, you tell them to go fuck themselves and to put a boot in their ass, because that's the American way. I sang that song earlier. I'll put a boot in her ass. It's the American way. Right? That's how it goes? I don't know. All right, well, that's all I got for you. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to give me a like, give me a follow, give me a subscribe, leave me a comment. Follow me on social media if you don't already. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sharra Coley. That's SHARRACOLEY. I'm going to go eat some king cake and enjoy my season. And until next time, you be good. I won't, but you be. Okay, see you then. Bye. Meow. Fuck, I'm weird.